Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Mental Health Diet Podcast. It's your girl, Shri, aka Sharifa, or Sharifa, aka Shri. Listen, whichever one you choose, whichever one works best for you, I go by both. I am so happy to be back this week. Listen, y'all, I told you I was coming back. I can't just be leaving y'all guys hanging, okay? I told you I will be back. And then also, too, I'm doing something a little different. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I've been really kind of feeling just kind of the whole no intro thing, like the intro music and all that, just more diving into it. So with me, I'm an avid podcast listener. And so one thing that I kind of really enjoy now is like people just going right into the podcast versus like all like the intro and stuff like that. So hopefully you guys like it. If you don't, I may end up switching back, but right now this is kind of the spot where I'm just like, you know what, it's time for me to go. Cause honestly, that was the other thing. I kept changing my intro and kept trying to figure out like, oh my god, like should it be this song? Should it be this song? What are people gonna think when they hear this intro? Whatever, blah blah blah. But I'm like, listen, sis, you just need to record the podcast. People want the information. They don't care about some people may care about the song and stuff like that. Because I know for me, just depending on the podcast, but if it's a podcast where it's like information, I'm more so like, listen, I'm just here for the information. I don't care if there's an intro, there ain't no outro, whatever. I'm just here for a good time. Okay. So yes, y'all, welcome back. What's good? What's popping to my mental health diet warriors crew? I gotta get y'all guys a name. I gotta think of a name. I definitely gotta think of a name. Cause listen, y'all are my family, okay? Shout out to y'all. Shout out to my mental health diet family. Hey. And hi and hello to any new subscribers. So shout out to you guys. And for all of my OGs, the people that's been following for a minute, hey. So something I forget to do sometimes is shout out the new listeners. So if you are a new listener here, welcome, welcome, welcome. The Mental Health Diet Podcast is a podcast where I talk about all things nutrition, wellness, and mental health related. So if that's something that you're interested in, please make sure you go ahead and subscribe and follow the podcast for a good time. Okay. All right. So one thing that I mentioned last week, because we kind of talked about it last week in my little life update, where I was like, listen, I was kind of all over the place in regards to starting a podcast because I was overthinking it. I was overthinking the intro. I was overthinking the outro. I was just overthinking it. And to be honest with you guys, I had took a podcast course, and I think courses are really, really good. But sometimes what happens is that sometimes we get so much information thrown at us, we start to become stuck. And so that's basically what actually kind of happened to me. And it happens to me a lot because I am very knowledgeable, I will say, in the nutrition world, the wellness world, mental health as well, and then also business. So I am very business savvy. I have an entrepreneurial spirit. I'm very much like, listen, I'm going to work for myself by any means necessary. Okay. But yeah. And so for me, sometimes like I'll consume so much information and let me know if this happens to you. Like if you can relate, listen, I can hear you. Like, I don't know. I don't have no button for you to press or anything like that. But if you can relate, just nod your head. But like, I'm a type person where I'll consume so much information that I don't even do anything with it. And instead, I consume so much of it, it goes to my brain and then I become stuck. And so basically that's kind of a little bit of what happened to me in regards to me like pausing a podcast. I had so much information where I just became stuck. And I'm like, listen, that is not the purpose of me being on this earth. My purpose on this earth is to serve others. The information that I have should not just be within me, even though I sometimes feel like, oh my gosh, I'm like bombarded with information. I have to learn to dissect that information and spit it out in a way that I think is most healthiest for me and healthiest for others. And so I say all that to say is that what I really enjoyed last week was really doing the Q&A episode where I was able to answer some questions that a lot of people ask me. And so this week I'm going to do the same thing as well. This week I am going to answer some common questions that I get from people in regards to nutrition, wellness, and mental health related topics. These are some questions that I always these are questions that I tend to get from people because a lot of people, if you are new here, I've been a pescatarian for about 7 years. It's going, well, not going on 8. It was 7 years in March. And I've been a pescatarian, but I follow mostly a plant-based diet. I'm lactose intolerant, so any type of dairy, any type of cheese causes me to bloat, and it causes my stomach to hurt very intensely. I am a type 1 diabetic, so the foods that I eat, I do need to be careful to make sure that I don't have too many blood sugar spikes or anything like that. So, when I tell people this information, a lot of times, they're very intrigued, like, wow, and then also too, the reason why this is called the Mental Health Diet Podcast as well is I also, have or had thyroid disease. I had Graves' disease at the age of 9 years old. And in turn, that's when I ended up, having panic attacks. I did end up doing some research and reading on later in college that there is a correlation between panic attacks, and anxiety attacks and Graves' disease. So that's another reason why we have the mental health diet, because I dealt with a lot of different mental health things. And then also most recently, as I discussed before, on a podcast, I am becoming more open about it. I'm not just not obviously, some of you guys obviously have not met me, but I'm not like telling everybody, but I have started taking antidepressants. I went through, a health scare last year, where I landed up in the emergency room, and the best route that the doctor thought was for me. Well, when I got in the emergency room, they actually gave me some antidepressant medication, which was very different. It was through a syringe. It was through an IV. So I was like, oh, wow. And I definitely felt it. And so they thought the best bet was for me to take antidepressants. So I am now on that. So that's just kind of a little bit of my background and like things from the nutrition standpoint, and then mental health and wellness. And then also too, guys, I do have a bachelor's degree. So I received my undergrad. And I have a bachelor's degree in health and wellness, and then I have a master's in applied nutrition. So one day when I first started college, my goal really was to be a dietitian. So I may go back to school. If a school is listening to this, if they want to give me a full ride, your girl will take it. Okay. So that's what it is. That's a little bit about me. And so when I tell people about me, a little bit about my story, a lot of times they tend to ask me different questions, whether it's about nutrition or just me navigating life with the things that I have. But with this podcast and with my passion and love for nutrition, I really, really tend to talk more about nutrition and let people know that, hey, I am a nutrition educator or a nutrition coach or a nutritionist, whichever one works for whoever. It really doesn't matter. I'm just a person that gives information to help people within the wellness world, health world. So, I just recently met, I went to a book fair, and I just recently met, the author of this book and the person's parents. And it's so crazy is that when we talk, and like I said, when you give people a story about yourself, it's so funny how you can connect with different people. So I went to a book fair and I met the guy's parents. And so I'm just talking to the parents, whatever, and we talk about different things, and they ask me about what I do, and I tell them. And so, so the mom asked me some like nutrition related questions, and I'll get to that because that'll be the first question for today that people tend to ask me. But this is what a woman asked me. But as I was talking, I told her, I was like, oh, yeah, I really got into the field of nutrition because I'm a type 1 diabetic. And she was like, oh, my gosh, my son is a type 1 diabetic. So, that's one thing about life, too. It's like, and this is something that I've learned, and my friends have told me this too, like, Sharifa, you just need to open up and tell your story. And that is why I am on this mic, Listen, baby steps. I'm still not on social media telling the entire world, but baby steps, because if you're listening to this, you're listening to this. So like, she was like, oh my gosh, she's a type 1 diabetic. And so it's just amazing when we open up and tell our story and how we are actually closer and we're connected to people more than we know. And you just never know how you can help someone, be a blessing to someone. So she was so excited and thrilled that I told her that I was in the field of nutrition, was so excited. But one question she asked me, the first question she asked me was, is red meat okay? And I felt so bad. This woman, probably in her 60s or 70s. The first question she asked me was, is red meat okay? And I had to tell her, unfortunately, I was like, well, I don't eat meat. I haven't had meat in 7 years. And to be honest with you, I told her an honest answer about something that I will dive into more into this podcast, is that throughout my studies, I learned that meat can cause cancer. And I read this when I was doing my graduate studies. When I read this in the textbook, I said, oh my God. And they feeding us meat. And then in the same section of the textbook, it said that patients that are diagnosed with cancer are told to adhere to a plant-based diet. So why are we not being preventative and already doing plant-based before people get the cancer? Okay. So when she asked me, is red meat okay? I basically said, I told her, not really, because it can lead to cancer, amongst other things, inflammation. If you have any inflammatory diseases, diabetes, arthritis, there's a lot of inflammatory diseases out there. But I kind of felt bad that I had to tell her kind of the raw truth, because I honestly, to be honest with you guys, this woman was older. She was with her husband. And when I mentioned the word cancer, I didn't want to offend her or anything, but the truth is the truth. And so I did end up telling her that red meat can be okay in moderation. That's something else that I like to teach people and tell people when they ask me nutrition related questions, or people just want advice. I will say that anything, okay, I'm not gonna say anything, but if someone is like a very, very avid red meat eater and they're like, I need to get some meat, whatever, but I want to become healthier, I will tell the person to like moderation. Like, try to moderate the amount of meat that you eat, and try to maybe possibly look into meat alternatives. I'm not a big fan of processed meat alternatives. That's another question that I get all the time. But sometimes that's the best thing for somebody to do, to cut down on it. And let's just think about our own lives. When it comes to certain things in our lives, many of us have not done things that we're doing cold turkey. If it's a fitness journey, if it's a eating healthier journey or a weight loss journey, whatever it is, a lot of times it took us baby steps to get there. Because I know for me, it took baby steps. Like, now I go to the gym and I lift weights and stuff. That was the baby steps, y'all. And shout out to my therapist. My therapist really pushed me to start lifting weights, because I had really, really bad gym anxiety, where I just was like, oh no, I can't work out in front of men. I can't, my gym anxiety was bad and it was messing up my health. But now I'm like, what? Okay, there's some guys in the gym. Okay, that's nice. I'm gonna lift these weights. Okay, I low-key still be scared, just a little scared. But still, my anxiety is not as bad as it was. So that question that she had was, is red meat okay? I would say no. But if you do feel that you need to eat it in moderation, and then try to look for healthier alternatives, healthier protein alternatives. Like I always talk about avocado. I talk about avocado, quinoa, tofu. There are different plant-based alternatives that are a lot healthier than meat. And then also too, like, not to say that tofu, you can make it taste like meat, but like, even me, like, sometimes, like, I'll do tacos and then I'll take the tofu and then I'll like chop it up with a what is it called? I'll put it in a skillet, in a whisk, and I chop it up with a whisk in a skillet, and then I put like taco seasoning over it, so it kind of mimics like the whole ground beef look, but it's not ground beef, instead it's tofu. And so for me, but I haven't had meat in so long, so for me, I don't, I'm not craving meat or anything like that. So let's see. The next question that I get is, another question that I always get is, can I maintain a healthy lifestyle without meat? The answer is yes. I think a lot of times what people think is that if you don't eat meat, you're going to get sick. And the funny thing, y'all, the crazy thing about that concept is that if you don't eat meat, you're going to get sick, is that you're actually becoming sicker by eating the meat. But you know what? I blame society. That's who I really, really blame. I blame society for having us think like that, because, like, no. And so that's the thing about it. It's like, I will say, like, even for me, now I see a dietitian, because I'm always about getting information and stuff like that. But like, now, even with me seeing a dietitian, I'm more so like, okay, what do I have to do? Like, is there any supplements I need to take? And so one thing that my dietitian suggested is that I take B complex, B12 type of vitamins to help me replace some of the things that I may not get by going plant-based or being vegetarian. Because like I said, I'm pescatarian, but I really don't eat that much fish. I very selective about it. I just started eating salmon. I do tuna. I do haddock. I do cod. But I don't really eat, well, yeah, I'm not like a huge big fish eater. So you can still, yes. So if you're thinking about removing meat from your diet, you won't get sick. You just need to make sure that you do get the proper nutrients. And like I said, you can seek out a dietitian. If you ever do want to chat or have a question, because that's another thing too. If you have a question, I do now have a form that you can fill out. If you click the link below the podcast in the show notes, there is a link to fill out for a segment called Ask Shri. So if you have a question or anything like that, feel free to fill that out, and I will answer the question on the podcast. So yeah. So you can still maintain a healthy lifestyle. You just have to make sure that you get the right nutrients in so that you don't become sick. You don't want that. But honestly, eating meat can already cause you to be sick. But that's just, that's just one of those things that society really won't share, because honestly, I always say, like, what if they did get rid of the meat industry? Do you know how many businesses will go out of sale? But if they, go out of sale. Is that a word? Go out of business. But if they did remove the meat industry, just think about how many places will go out of business. Like, bruh. Like, literally, that would be almost probably insane. Like, all your favorite places, like McDonald's, I don't know if that's your favorite place, but that's the first thing I thought of. But your favorite fast food places and all that, literally, things will crash. Restaurants will be closed. There will be no chicken wings, nothing. Okay? All right, so the next question that I tend to get is, because, once again, I have tried meat alternatives. I'm not a huge fan of processed meat alternatives, y'all. I'm not. Because at this point, by the time you eat the meat alternative, I'm like, you might as well just eat the real thing. Like, I feel like these meat alternatives that they have these processed meat alternatives that they have are more processed than the meat. Like, how did we turn something that's plant-based, that's supposed to be plant-based, how do we make it more unhealthy? Somebody explain that to me. So, but the question that I tend to get is, which is better, Beyond Burger or Impossible Burger? And I would love, like even to get y'all guys input. So, Beyond Burger for me for me personally, it's way more heavier and more processed. So when I eat a Beyond Burger, I feel full, I feel more bloated, and I feel very large. Okay, that's just nothing. That's just what's to it. I feel very large. Now, listen, y'all, your girl be excited when I go out and I be looking at the menu, and they be a bunch of meat, but then I see the word Beyond Burger, I be like, give me that. Like, y'all, I be lit. I be excited. I really do be excited when I do see Beyond Burger on the menu, but I don't eat Beyond Burger all the time. I even remember one time I had it, and I don't know if it was the grease or whatever. I had like these Beyond Burger patties. It made me feel weird. Okay. My body is very sensitive to different type of foods, and when I had it, my body was like, sis, put that back in the freezer package and throw in the garbage. Okay. And it made me feel weird. So I would say Beyond Burger feels heavy, but the burger that I prefer, if I'm going to eat a processed meat alternative, is Impossible Burger. I don't know if it's made with cheaper ingredients, but I know Impossible Burger is what they sell at Burger King. So Burger King has the Impossible Burger sandwich. So shout out to Burger King for offering that. Like, ooh, I don't know if there's any other places that offer plant. Well, I think KFC, haven't been there in years. Probably not, like 15, 20 years. I think KFC started offering Beyond Meat chicken nuggets, whatever. I guess one day I'll have to try it to see what it is, but I'm in no rush to go in the line at Kentucky Fried Chicken and get some chicken nuggets. Beyond Meat. No, I'm not in no rush. But so for me, for Impossible Burger, I definitely feel a lot more lighter when I eat it. I feel like maybe they put less ingredients. I'll have to compare the package, but I feel like Beyond Burger is something that is more heartier. So I find that Beyond Burgers, they usually sell those at like restaurants, and then like the restaurants where they're probably trying to be more cost effective. I find them to serve Impossible Burgers, and I find those to be more lighter on the stomach. Let's see. Okay, so the next question that I tend to get is, will I lose a lot of weight if I go plant-based? So the question is, will I lose a lot of weight if I go plant-based? That's the thing. So what people don't understand, and I have to I have to tell people even close to me, like friends, family, just because you go plant-based doesn't necessarily mean you're going to lose a lot of weight. So here's the thing. So the word for me, I like to say is I want to go plant-based, and sometimes another word people say is vegan. And I kind of look at vegan and plant-based like two different things. When I think of plant-based, I think of eating like eating your greens and your fruits and things like that, and strictly eating not processed. When I think of vegan, I think of a blend of very processed vegan food and your greens and stuff like that. And so in regards to will you lose weight if you go plant-based, I feel like if you go the route where you're doing the greens in the unprocessed plant-based way, you will see like weight loss. And then especially if you're working out, you'll definitely see yourself shedding some pounds. But if you're going a vegan route where you're still eating processed foods and things like that, you may not see no difference. And that's why sometimes you'll see people who are vegan that are still kind of heavy, because also too, we also don't know how many calories they're consuming in a day. But this is something I had to teach myself too. Y'all, I have a sweet tooth. I have a massive sweet tooth to the point where, let me tell y'all, I have a sweet tooth so bad that I had to get this book at Hobby Lobby. It was like a biblical book, and it was called The 40-Day Fast, like a Christian fast, so I could stop eating sweets. And y'all, I'm so bad, I still haven't read it, and I need to read it. Like, hold me accountable. Like, or I need to hold myself accountable. But I am gonna start reading it. But I had to get that book because I was eating sweets way too much, and I'm like, y'all. But I'm saying all this because when I became mostly vegan, like I said, most of my diet is pretty much plant-based or vegan. I would say vegan because plant-based because I don't really eat too much processed stuff, but I do have a major sweet tooth. So I will go to this local grocery store in my neighborhood, and they sell the most best like plant-based cupcakes, or I'll say vegan. They put vegan in it. They sell vegan cupcakes. They have vegan cookies, and y'all, I would eat these things, and yes, my blood sugar will go up, but then I'll give myself insulin. But I say all that to say is that there are tons, and you guys probably know it's going to stores, there are tons of unhealthy vegan food. You got vegan pies, you got vegan cake, you got vegan cupcake, you got vegan cookies. I even had vegan cheesecake, and it was bomb. Okay? There's even a restaurant I went to where I had like, oh my God, I forgot, it was like a vegan sandwich and all that. I felt heavy. And so I'm saying all this is that if someone consumes a diet and it's full of vegan cupcakes and vegan cookies and all that, you probably won't lose weight. Instead, you're probably going to gain weight, and you might say to yourself, like, why am I gaining weight when I'm going plant-based? So the thing about going plant-based or vegan, like I said, those two kind of intertwine, because when I think of vegan, I think of someone that, eats both processed vegan food and unprocessed, or some people are just strictly processed vegan. Like, there was this lady, I think I was not following, but I watched her page on YouTube. She was like, hey y'all, I'm vegan, but to let y'all know I'm not a healthy vegan. I eat whatever she said, I make it eat whatever I want. She said, listen, this is my channel and I am vegan. I eat whatever I want. And I can't tell you if it's going to be healthy or not, but just know it is vegan. So that's what I'm saying. There's different types of vegans where vegans are like, I'm not eating no meat. And guess what? Another thing too is that we all have a different why or goal. So whatever your reason is as to why you may or may not eat meat, then I think that will help indicate as to why, as to what version you choose to go plant-based or like processed vegan. So if your goal is like really to like lose weight and become healthier, please, I would say go to plant-based route where you're sticking to your fruits and vegetables and your whole grains and things like that, because that will really help you lose weight. So those are some common questions that I get asked a lot as someone who works in the nutrition field and someone who just loves talking about everything nutrition, wellness, and mental health related. So those are some questions that I get. What I did was, and I know I had this like when I first started this podcast, y'all, it's been 4 years. Ooh, child, time is moving. I did have like a forum back in the day where people could ask questions. No, it was an email, but I do now have a forum. So if you go in the show notes, click on the form, and you will be able to ask a question or questions, whatever, and that will give you a chance for me to answer it on the podcast. So please make sure you go ahead and do that. If you have a question, if you are a new listener, you can do that as well. If you are a subscriber and you've been listening for a while, and maybe I've answered some things, but maybe you just want me to answer it deeper. And if I don't know the answer, I will look into it even further. So make sure you guys go ahead and click that link to make sure you ask any questions that you may have. And then also too, if you are listening to this podcast, whether you listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, However you listen to this podcast, please make sure you guys go ahead and leave a rating and review. It is free, y'all. It's free 99. So if you don't want to leave a review, that is fine. You can leave a rating. It doesn't matter. I am grateful either way. And honestly, if you don't even do anything, I'm just grateful that you're listening. I hope that, the information that I share will help you on your journey to become a better person, a better you, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I also hope that you're able to share this information with someone else. So whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend, whoever it may be, hopefully that this information can help whoever it is that you want to pass this information to. So usually, as always, I like to end it off with the quote of the week, this podcast with the quote of the week. And this week's quote is, temporary defeat does not equal permanent failure. Okay. So when you feel like you getting beat up and you're like, yo, what is going on in life? It's temporary, sis. Okay. Temporary defeat does not equal permanent failure. Do not give up. You got this. Okay. You got this. We got this. Okay. Listen, 2024, I know they always say it's our year, but it's our year, okay? Next year's our year. No, 2024 is our year, but how about let's start small? Today is my day. Today is my day. This week is my week. This month is my month, okay? I'm taking it over. So once again, temporary defeat does not equal permanent failure. Thank you once again for all of you guys who have tuned in. Shout out to my new listeners, my new subscribers. Shout out to my OG crew, my OG followers who have already been subscribed and followed to this podcast. Thank you guys once again so much, and I will see all of you beautiful people next week. Bye-bye.